want to know the difference between dreaming and doing? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior. Tech goes by many names. Business, fine art, forensic science. Some think it's just technical. But really, tech means everything. Scholarships, internships, championships. It's professors who make time for you one-on-one. It's putting everything on the line. It can be fierce. It can be fascinating. It can be awesome. Most important, it's believing in yourself and what you have to offer the world. Because at Indiana Tech, warriors are prepared to lead a significant life.
You're busy. You expect to say no sometimes. But what you didn't expect was a chance to say yes to a college degree while keeping your life. Indiana Tech is now offering Chicago area students undergraduate and graduate degree opportunities taught online by experienced faculty who care. Learn more at one of the new Indiana Tech enrollment centers in Naperville or Wilmette.
I can turn this in early? Sure, whenever you're ready.
Embrace the unexpected at Indiana Tech.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that there aren't very many energy programs out there. When I researched all of the various programs recently, there are really only 2 or 3 accredited engineering programs.
I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada originally. I came out here to Indiana Tech to actually go for the energy engineering program because of its uniqueness and its ability to get hands-on with the materials that I'm going to be using in the future.
Well, a few of the things I think that sets Indiana Tech apart is, number one, you have very small classes. You have very close relationships with your professors. When you have a class of 10 people, it's much easier to get to know the professor and get in contact with him than if you have a class of 30, 40, or 50. You're going to have the same professors for the majority of your classes. You're going to have the same classmates for the majority of your classes.
The more practical applications come in all the subsequent energy engineering classes. Heat transfers in a class that right after they're leaving the classroom, and the board is filled with calculus. So in order to understand a lot of these topics, they're going to need to understand the calculus there. Calculus is the study of the rate of change, how fast things change. And depending upon whether it's energy engineering, industrial engineering, or whatever, they're going to need to use that and apply that.
Professor Romary, he stands out to me the most right now because when I first got here, I had to take calculus, Calc 1, Calc 2. And he's one of the professors that teaches it. And he was a very kind and helpful guy, and he did whatever he could to help us out. He was very funny, always had a way of creatively teaching calculus to us that not a whole lot of people can do. And I think that and how he did it is going to be something that's going to stick for me for a very long time.
The field work that Indiana Tech can provide here is, for example, we have a 10 kilowatt windmill that the students can work with. We have a geothermal system for a couple of the buildings for Utang-Sioux and for Zollner that uses geothermal principles to heat and cool the buildings in the summer and the winter.
The PV array system, training system that we have down here in the basement allows us to wire up the panels we have down in the basement to set it up as a off-the-grid system or a battery bank system, which helps us because we can see every component of the system actually intertwining and how they work together, which is something that may not be easily visible when you're on the job site in a career. So definitely my internship at Super Value Incorporated was a very, very beneficial program for me to be in. It was more based on the process and logistical side of engineering of my degree, not necessarily the design aspect. It helped me really learn how the most efficient way to do a task and some of the boundaries that come with trying to make things more efficient.
One of the things that we've been very fortunate here at Indiana Tech is that we've had a grant through AEP to help subsidize our students in taking some of the various trips in spring break. Over the last 4 years, I have taken, along with a couple of other chaperones, I've taken almost a couple of dozen students to a trip to Germany and Switzerland that focused on renewable energy. We've gone to Iceland last year, focusing on geothermal energy, and we just recently returned from a trip to Costa Rica.
Just last year, I went to Iceland with a couple of our peers, not even just energy engineers, but a couple of other engineering majors went along with us. And for me, that was the highlight of my college time. I mean, we learned a lot about like geothermal systems and how they converted to a country of basically like ran just by geothermal. But it wasn't just learning about that, it was also learning about their culture as well, you know, and the past and the history and where they plan to go in their future. And all those things combined, I think really kind of defines my experience here in Indiana Tech.
You can be the smartest engineer in the world, but if you cannot talk to or work with other engineers and non-engineers, it's very hard to get anything done. I try to teach my students that while you may not like writing, it's going to be a part of the job. You have to communicate. If you're doing experiments or testing hardware in the lab, you need to write it up so that other people know what you did, and the customer may want to know what are the results of that test.
Something I would remember most about the faculty would be just the one-on-one aspect of it and how open they are to hearing your problems and concerns and willing to assist you. Indiana Tech, with the class sizes being so small, you really get that one-on-one talking, everyday type relationship with your advisors and your professors. And having that is key to success, I feel, because being able to communicate with them and actually get your problems and questions across is going to help clarify things for you while you're in classes in school, which is going to set you up for success.
Welcome to the Summit City, home to the 260's dedicated high school athletes and fans. Each victory and celebration captured by our cameras. Treasure the highlights from the Summit Athletic Conference this season, or complete games live or on demand. After all, nobody's more proud to call Fort Wayne home than SummitCitySports.com.
Want to know what it means to be a warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a warrior's shoes. You want to know what's possible at Indiana Tech? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior.
From the Schaefer Center here at the campus of Indiana Tech, we welcome you to Indiana Tech men's volleyball here on the Indiana Tech YouTube channel. And tonight, a matchup that Indiana Tech would love nothing more than to play spoiler, and Indiana Tech trying to fight for their NAIA tournament lives as they take on the number 2 team in the country, the St. Xavier Cougars, currently undefeated, unblemished, and right now undeniable in the CCAC. 12-0 in league play, 25-0 overall. Indiana Tech currently 10-13 on the season, 9-6 in WHAC play. but currently right now on a 4-game losing skid. Since the win against Bethel back on March 25th, they dropped 2-3 to Aquinas, 1-3 to Cornerstone, and then back-to-back losses to Lawrence Tech. They did steal a set on the road, however, dropping that 1-3, but still a lot of work to do, though, coming in and at least trying to get a bid for the national tournament. And with that, we welcome you up to the broadcast booth, Joe Northern, my cameraman, and my tag team partner, Esau Haynes. Delighted to have you with us. Yes, this Tech team has a lot of work left to do. They're on a 4-game losing skid, but there is no more opportunity than to make a statement against the number 2 team in the country in St. Xavier. Again, you know the story. 25-0 in the season, number 2 in the country. Tom Ryan, in his 5th season, believes he has the team that can take him all the way to the top. And taking a look at the standings, they're only one of 2 NAIA undefeated team, the Masters, and not without a green jacket, because there is no green jacket for the Masters out of California. But the Masters out of California, currently number 1 in the country, 20-0 on the season, 233 points, and the latest coaches poll. Indiana Tech, of course, not ranked, coming in at 10-13, so they're going to have to try to really make a big push coming up in the next week and a half. As the big thing to note, too, is that next week will be the WHAC tournament. And barring any unusual circumstances, which we don't expect that to happen, but if it does, Indiana Tech would still be the number 4 seed if Bethel were to win their last 2 games and Indiana Tech were to drop. Actually, no, Indiana Tech can't drop any more games. Indiana Tech, they're already locked into that 4 seed as it stands right now. Even with the tiebreaker with Lourdes currently at that 3 spot, it'll likely be Tech and Bethel coming up on Tuesday night here at the Schaefer Center in the opening round of the WHAC tournament. In case you're wondering how that tournament layout goes, it's the top seed. The top 2 seeds get a bye, but the top seed hosts the tournament at their home site. And no surprise, that top seed is currently Lawrence Tech, 14-0 in WAC play. They ran the table, 22-2 overall, and currently number 4 in the country, behind the Masters, St. Xavier, who you're going to see just shortly, and Missouri Valley. Missouri Baptist also in the meantime coming in at number 5. Park currently making a nice jump up to number 6, down from number 9. But Benedictine Mesa taking the drop from 7 to 6. Grandview dropping 1 spot to number 8. St. Thomas making the jump to number 9. And Mount Mercy dropping to number 10. But it will be a loaded WAC tournament. The question is, will Indiana Tech make noise to get to take on potentially their rival in Lawrence Tech? We'll have to wait and see how everything else shakes out. But regardless, what it's going to stand to right now is that Tech will be hosting a game on Tuesday night against the Bethel Pilots. There's no question about that. But losing 4 in a row, there's nothing more than at least to try to get some big votes coming your way than taking on a very, very good St. Xavier's team, which they've done a great job continuing to lead the charge in the CCAC, the Chicago Collegiate Athletic Conference, we should say. So, will they find a way to get it done tonight? Take a look at tail of the tape between the 2 teams. Kills currently led by Dylan Poore at 194. Matt Pinella currently leading with 736, but assists. Cameron Daniels, he loves to pass the ball around. He also loves to get aces, currently leading with 732 and 39 respectively. In terms of blocks, Drew Ellers leading with 80 for Indiana Tech. Logan Gamero with 65. And in digs, Andres Velez with 260. Alex Rosno with 137. So the Warriors have their work cut out for them tonight, but then again, when postseason play comes into high gear, who knows what crazy things can happen. We'll have your first serve and starting lineups coming up in just a moment. This is Indiana Tech Men's Volleyball.
Hi, I'm Paxton, and I'll be your tour guide today. Behind me, we have Pearson Hall. This is one of our freshman dorms on campus. Today, I'll be showing you dorm rooms. Come inside. The only way to get into campus is if you have an ID card, so you'll have to swipe into all the dorms. And then over here, we have an intercom system. So through every dorm, we have these like dial buttons within the dorm rooms and then outside. So say you're visiting somebody, you don't live here, you would dial their room number and then you can actually call their room and they can unlock the doors to the dorm through the intercom system, and you can talk to them, they can see you through a camera, and they can unlock the doors for you so they don't have to leave the room. It's really nice to have. So right here we just have our main lobby. Every floor has a lobby. In the lobbies we just have like TVs and stuff. You can watch movies, play video games, you can hang out with friends, do homework, play card games. It's just a nice little hangout area to have. And then right here, this is what we call our RA office. So every single night there will be an RA in the office. They're just there for your needs if you have any issues with like toilets or sinks or anything being clogged. They'll always be in there for your help. If you have questions about anything, you can always come see an RA here. And then over here, we have mailboxes. Every student has a mailbox. They are really small. The only thing they can fit is like card-sized items. Throughout campus, you'll see our mail room when you go on your actual tour later on, and that will be in one of our other buildings where you'll receive bigger packages. All right, so here's the laundry room. So in the laundry room, you don't have to save quarters or use quarters. I know it says 25 cents, but it is included with living on campus. And then there's one on every floor and every side of floor, so there's 2 on every floor in Pearson. So every student has keys to their dorm. And then as you come in, you will see our intercom system right here that I talked about in the entranceway. So this is where you would like unlock the door for visitors, talk to them. And then one really nice thing about it is there is a security guard button right there. So if you were to have somebody like calling your room constantly at like 5 o'clock in the morning because some student forgot their keys, you could actually press the security guard button and it will lock them in that little box that we entered to into the dorm. It'll lock both the outside doors and the inside doors and call security. So it also has a nice safety measure within your room. You don't even have to leave your room for that. So it's really nice. And then as we enter in this way, you'll see this is the half of our room looks like. So there's this, and then on the other side of the suite, there's a mirrored room that looks exactly like this. The desk, the dressers, and the closets, and all of the drawers and stuff all come with. You can decorate it any way you'd like, and then like mini fridges, TVs, anything like that you would bring here. And then through here we have our bathroom. So then as you come into the bathroom, you'll see that this side of the room has their own sink and toilet, and then as you come through, there's one shower shared between the 2 rooms, and then this side of the room has their own sink and toilet, and then there's the mirrored room right here. So then they share a little common space out there, and then this is the exact same stuff, and it's all the same. Here we have Calflesh. This is our other freshman dorm on campus. It is across the street from main campus. We'll be showing another freshman dorm, the laundry room, and then the hangout lobby area. Come on in. So same thing as Pearson. To get into the dorms, you have to have a swipe card that unlocks and lets you in. All right, and then we have the same intercom system as we do in Pearson, and it runs throughout all of the dorms. And then in here is the lobby area where all the students hang out. We have like a TV so people can hook up like Xboxes or anything like that, DVD players, you can watch movies. I know RAs put on a bunch of activities down here. They do like movie nights with hot chocolate during the winter. We've done like pumpkin carving, and we watch a Halloween movie, and so that's all done down here. And then it's the same thing over here. You can do some studying, you can hang out with friends, you can eat dinner if you want, and like I said, you can hang out with your RA, hang out with your friends, do homework, but follow me to the next part. So same thing as Pearson, every student has keys to their dorm. So when you first walk in, it's different than Pearson where there's no like 2 mirrored room. It's just one room with 2 students. The shelves, the desk, the drawers, all of the beds and stuff all come with. And then over here, it's the same for Pearson and Calflesh. You can control the air condition and the heat for the room, not the entire dorm, which is so nice because then it's between you and your roommate, not through hundreds of people in one building. And then as we walk over here, you'll see that the sink is outside of the bathroom, which is so nice because obviously if your roommate's showering, you don't have to worry about not being able to brush your teeth or even use the sink or get a drink of water or anything like that. And then as we walk over here, you'll see only 2 roommates to 1 bathroom. and then the shelving space. And then instead of Pearson where they have closets, you would have this whole shelving space and hanger area. And then same thing as Pearson, we have the intercom system over here where you can press a security guard button, you can talk to them, and then see them through the camera. CalFlush also has mailboxes. They're the same size. They fit card-sized items. And again, if you have any bigger packages, we do have a mailroom on campus. So then through here, this is the laundry room. The difference between Pearson and CalFlush is CalFlush, there's only one in the whole building and it's on the first floor, whereas Pearson has them on every floor. But it is the same as they are included with living here, so you don't have to use quarters. It's free to the students. And that concludes the tour. Thanks for coming with. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to your counselor. Hope to see you on campus. Go Warriors!
Indiana Tech coming in 10-13 in this matchup. St. Xavier 25-0. As we take a look at the starting lineups for each team, I beg your pardon. For St. Xavier, Matt Pinella currently leading the charge. Number 13 from Long Beach, California. Number 15, Cameron Daniels. Number 23, Drew Ellers. Number 4, Cameron Stuckler. Number 6, Sean Carey. And number 8, in Caden Cox. Libero is going to be number 17 in Andres Valles. Meanwhile, for Indiana Tech, not too much change with their starting lineup. What we can note, Christian Cole not in the starting rotation. You would expect him to pop in later, though, as the evening progresses. Number 1, Zach Cards. Number 2, Dylan Bohr. Number 20, Logan Gieske. Number 23, Daniel Mitson. Number 24, Ben Rosno. And number 25, in Logan Gamero. The Liberos, again, 2 rotating Liberos tonight. Number 9 in Jacob Carrico, and number 12 in Alex Rosno. Again, the Warriors coached by Jordan Rosenberg in his second season, assisted by Byron Van Gooten, I beg your pardon, Tony Price, and Nathan Marshall. The Warriors trying to get a W going into WAC tournament play, and currently a team that has to win straight out if they want to have a chance to go to the national tournaments. As again, the Warriors with a younger lineup this season, but no better opportunity than try to upset the number 2 team in the country. And that could happen right here, right now. We're underway here at the Schaefer Center as Mitson hits us across. And a quick strike down below from Caden Cox. 1-0 at advantage to the Cougars. Cougars currently led by Tom Ryan, assisted by David Batchelor, Jake Olson, and Christian Oviedo. So get a dominant St. Xavier team that has ran the table, clinched the CCAC in convincing fashion against Olivet Nazarene on Tuesday night. Of course, a non-con game for both of these teams. We know Indiana Tech will have to try to take down the Pilots coming up on Tuesday, but getting a win against the number 2 team in the country certainly can't hurt in the meantime. Blocked up on the way, and into the net it goes against Matt Pinella. And so we're even at 1. Dylan Poor to bring it in, currently leading the team in kills at 194 on the season. Quick push up on the way. That struck high, but out of play. So the side out going to go against Indiana Tech, and another quick point on the board for St. Xavier, 2-1 here in set number 1. Joe Northern, Esau Haynes, delighted to have you with us. Final game of the regular season before the WAC tournament gets underway coming up on Tuesday, as Indiana Tech will welcome Bethel here to the Schaefer Center. I beg your pardon, that'll be Tuesday night is when Bethel will be headed right here to the Schaefer Center. Semifinals will be on Thursday, and then the final coming up on Saturday. Of course, semifinal and finals will be at Lawrence Tech, a team that ran the table in WAC play at 14-0, 22-2 overall, number 4 in the nation, and the latest NAIA polls. That's off the head of Christian Cold, and St. Xavier on a roll right now, rattling off 3 in a row to make it 4-1. And the run continuing from the Jamestown, North Dakota native, and Caden Cox. Gets this one across. Down low and inside. Finds an open corner that was honestly so quick we couldn't keep track of it, to be honest with you. Cox, the sophomore outside hitter, continuing to make some noise. Into the net that goes. And on the board for IT. Did not get over the nylon in time, so that at least stops the run for St. Xavier here in set number 1. And St. Xavier has done a great job of at least really trying to outgo their opponents 1066 to 651 in terms of kills. In attempts, 2234 to 2087. In kills per set, getting an average of 5 above their opponents, 13.2 to 8.0. Another one you just saw right there. Another one quickly coming across. Here's a shot from Cole. Gets across, but out of play. Cole putting him in a right place. As the side out goes against Vejas Kupalinkas, the Riverside, Illinois native. And 6-3, an advantage of St. Francis. Or St. Xavier, I beg your pardon. Jensen Urish now to bring it up. Gets this one across. They set up top. A light tip coming in from Kuplinkas. Blocked up. Still saved by Urish. They get this high. Down low. Got it. Well, out of play. The high swing coming against Dylan Poor, and it's 7-3. Advantage of the Cougars. As the Cougars having a 7-3 advantage early on, the number 2 team in the country. Trying to get well positioned to be maybe one of 2 undefeated teams in the NAIA coming into postseason play, which begins next week. That's down low off the hand of Matt Pinella. Pinella doing a great job this season, 276 kills coming into tonight's match. Obviously leading the team as it stands, but Caden Cox not too far behind. He's got 262 for the Cougars. Side out of play. So that stops the run intermittently for St. Xavier. Indiana Tech, if they know they have a guy who can make it happen, it's been 2K Christian Cold. Had some great spurts in the middle of the season to get some important W's on the board for the Warriors. Swing is high off the tip from Urish. And back on the board for St. Xavier, 9-4. Here early in set number 1. So again, final game of the regular season. St. Xavier currently number 2 in the country, unblemished, undefeated. Tom Ryan in his 5th season. They have also not dropped a set since March 22nd, as that one is a side out on the board. They have not dropped a set since March 2nd against number 10 Cornerstone, a team that Tech knows awfully well, that they dropped 3-1 to also in the interim. Into the net it runs. But 10-5 in advantage of IT. Of St. Xavier, I beg your pardon. Do we wish it was IT? Maybe. Owen Elliott coming in. Speaking with Coach Jordan Rosenberg tonight, knowing that he is going to have to try to work in some different starters, again, against a very dominant St. Xavier team, to try to throw them off their formula, but also to get his guys some experience, knowing that, yes, this is a young Indiana Tech team that is coming into the rotation, that has an opportunity to really rise in the ranks. But to do that, you have to take on some of the top teams, and that's what we're seeing right now. With St. Xavier now with a 6-point lead. Here's the push up from Valdez. Or from Velez, I beg your pardon. Carnes brings it down. So 11-6 here in the first. But it has been St. Xavier's just continuing to dominate, going on 2-0 runs, 3-0 runs, whatever they can do to try to slow down Tech. But it's only a 5-point game if you're the Warriors. And a lift going to go against, it looks like number 12, Alex Rosno. And it will be against Rosno. The kill is going to be credited for Caden Cox. And the Cougars now doubling up on the Warriors, 12-6. Rosno hits this one high. Gets this tipped out to Gieske. Gieske goes low. Gieske is down. Gieske is down, and he is in a little bit of pain. Is our down official currently blocking the scene, but Gieske going down for the moment. Took a little bit of a nasty fall as we will step aside. 12-6, advantage of St. Xavier. This is Tech Volleyball.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there's so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something fun to do.
So Logan Gieske taking a nasty spill. Currently taking a look by his trainers. Hopefully he will end up being okay. Coming in now, number 26, and Austin Runner, the senior from Antioch, Illinois. Now to bring it across for St. Xavier, number 15, and Cameron Daniels, the Omaha, Nebraska native. Only one freshman, or only two freshmen, we should say, for Tom Ryan's Cougars out of the CCAC. So again, a very senior-heavy lineup that will have some work to rebuild, but a side out, actually a tip, we should say, against Indiana Tech. Lobs it across to make it now 13-6 as we head to a timeout. Jordan Rosenberg wants to talk it over. We will as well. Back in a moment. This is Tech Volleyball.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there's so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something fun to do. You can never be bored here in Fort Wayne.
The school spirit at Indiana Tech is epic. It's everything. We had our first annual hockey game not too long ago. Everybody showed up, face paint, cowbells, Trojan hats, lawn gnomes. It was amazing. It makes it so worthwhile to be a Warrior. Go Warriors.
(14-6) advantage of St. Xavier, but again, the story right now, Logan Gieske taking a little bit of a nasty spill. Currently getting a look at from our trainers. We hope that he will be okay. Meanwhile, St. Xavier on a little bit of a quick run. 3-0 goes across, sits up to Mitson. Mitson box down, got it out of the way. Is Drew Ellers. And St. Xavier just continuing to dominate here in set number one, rattling off 4 in a row. Or 3 in a row, we should say. with Caden Cox leading the way, 4 kills. Bejas Kupalinkas with 3. Here's the quick tip up, blocked again, this time from Ellers. Another block out of the way from Matt Pedella, currently the leading attacker for Tom Ryan's Cougars, as St. Xavier is making the route come on strong as they lead it by 10. Push on the way from Daniels. That is saved in the meantime for Ben Rosno. Hits it out to Runyard. Runyard tipped up. Blocked down. Got it. Matt Padella again going back-to-back. 11-point advantage for St. Xavier as the Warriors trying to find an answer against some dominant attackers up front, but have not done so thus far. A side out on the way and an opportunity to reset. But 17-7 here in set number 1 against the number 2 team in the country. Again, another team with some unfinished business left to go. Indiana Tech in terms of baseball, splitting at the top of the table with UNOH earlier today. Jeff Mahoney had the call of that. 2 great games, as they won against the Racers 4-2, but lost 3-9 in the second set. So UNOH still at the top of the table. 17-8 advantage of St. Francis. St. Xavier, I beg your pardon. Quick shot up, saved by Mitson. Now they go to Cold. Cold blocked up in the net. Mitson on the tip. Now they go to Runyard. Runyard blocked again. They go to Cole. Cole back to Runyard. They go up to Poor. Dog in the meantime from Velez. Cole again up front. Blocked down. As Drew Ellers brings it down and in to make it 18-8. And the Cougars just continuing to dominate with a double-digit lead, 18-8 here in this first set. Cox brings it across, goes down to Cold, at least silences the Cougar run for just a moment. Here's number 9, Jacob Carrico, to bring it over. Carrico, the 6-foot libero from Louisville. Carrico had a couple aces in some big matches, but that one goes right into the net. And it's 19-9 in advantage of St. Xavier. Here's the push up from Giamatti, or Ellers, I beg your pardon. Down to Cold, shuts it down. 2K shuts it down again once more. And the lead now trimmed to 9, 19-10 here in set number 1. But again, the Warriors still with a lot of work left to do. As they trail by 9. Push up on the way. They go to Cox, down and in. Or Kupalinkas, I should say, gets it down and in the meantime. Gets that upper corner, and the Cougars continuing to double up on Cougars continuing to double up on Indiana Tech. 20-10 here in set number 1. Side out slows it down, but what we've noticed again is that Tech needs to try to go on a little bit of a run to at least try to trim it down against St. Xavier. But again, for every 1 point we've seen from the Warriors, 3 have come on the board for St. Xavier. Cold brings it across. That's dug low by Cox. They go to Kuplinkas. Still saved and still alive. They go to Poor. Poor over the head of Kuplinkas. And the lead now trimmed to 8. Tech still with 1 timeout remaining. St. Xavier with both. And 2K again to bring it across. Great crowd here tonight. Final regular season home game for the playoffs get going on Tuesday night That one's tipped off the hand of Mitson. Thought he had the right look for it, but could not get it to go. And the Cougars get the point, stop the intermittent rally to make it now 21-12. Kruplingas to bring it across. Gets down to Urish. They set it high to Poor. Poor gets it down and in. He connected off the palm of the leading attacker from Long Beach and Matt Pinella. And now the Warriors again with another opportunity to try to trim in there just a little bit. As Owen Elliott enters the chat. And Owen Elliott entering the box. The 6'3" outside hitter from San Antonio. Gets this across. Dug by Velez. High attack from Cox. That's out of play. They did a great job of trying to attack the back row and throw off the Warriors in the interim. So make it now, again, a 9-point lead. Largest lead tonight has been 10 for the Cougars. As the Warriors have just been struggling to try to find some answers against the number 2 team in the country. Poor brings that one down on the upper top of the box. And that gets it back down to 8. Last matchup these two teams had, it was a thriller between the two. 25-13, very similar to what we saw last year on January 24th, or earlier this season, we should say, where the teams went 5. So I would not be surprised if you saw the same thing happen again here tonight. When you mentioned my going 5 in one of the first games of the season for the Warriors, they dropped it 3-2, 13-25, 29-27, 17-25, 25-19, and 10-15. So again, the Warriors, they know this team awfully well as the strike goes down and in for Pinella. But it could very well be a game of sets. The Warriors have only won one time against St. Xavier back on March 18th of 2022 and a 3-0 sweep. That goes out of play. 23-16, Warriors have never been swept against St. Xavier, we should say. But they have swept St. Xavier. And that goes back to March 18th, 2022. Velez gets this one across. High, big attack from Cox. They go back to Cold. Cold blocked up at the net, still live. They go again to Cold. Cold tips down to Velez. Velez sets this high to Pinella. Pinella blocked up, down, got it. Zach Carnes meeting at the net. And now Indiana Tech riding a little bit of momentum here in set number 1. 23-17. Dylan Poor to bring it across. Get this one low. Down high to Pinella. That's down and in, and set point upcoming. 24-17. And who else but number 8 in Caden Cox, currently leading the way for the Cougars tonight. Cox gets this one low down to Poor. Hits this one back up to Poor. He keeps it alive. The junior outside hitter from Indianapolis brings it down and in. And with good reason. So 24-18, Warriors down by 6, but they're going to need a heck of a run here. Carrico to get it across. They get this down, blocked up by Cold. Christian Cold and Gamero both getting in on the block, and the lead trimmed to 5. The Warriors saying we're not done yet. Gamero again. Gets this across. Finds Daniels. Bucked up. Tipped out of play. And that is how set number 1 comes to a close. So at the end of the first, St. Xavier gets a win, but not before escaping from a little bit of a scare from the Warriors. Does this have a feeling this could go a little bit longer than 4 or 3? Tech should certainly hope so. Back in a moment.
Want to know the difference between dreaming and doing? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior. Want to know what it means to be a warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a warrior's shoes.
Welcome to the Summit City, home to the 260's dedicated high school athletes and fans. Each victory and celebration captured by our camera. Treasure the highlights from the Summit Athletic Conference this season, or complete games live or on demand. After all, nobody's more proud to call Fort Wayne home than SummitCitySports.com.
You want to know what's possible at Indiana Tech? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior.
1-0 advantage of St. Xavier as they get the win over Indiana Tech in set number 1, but the Warriors had a quick little comeback across the way, but only to be shut down by one of their leading attackers in number 13 in Matt Pinella and Vejas Kupalinkas, with Cameron Daniels also assisting in the back as well. Taking a look in terms of team stats again, St. Francis nearly leading across the board, 17-10 in terms of kills. Hitting percentage 556 to 214. Assists 17-10, 3-1 at service aces, but also leading in service errors 6-1. Tech, however, leading in terms of blocks and total attacks in 2-1 and 28-27, respectively. Individual leaders again, Christian Cold leading the charge. 5 kills on the night. Zach Carnes with 3, Dylan Poor with 1. Matt Pinella, no surprise, leading with 6. Vejas Kupalinkas with 5, and Caden Cox also with 5 on the board for St. Xavier. As we are delighted to have you with us here tonight. Final game of the regular season for both of these teams before postseason play gets going. We know with Indiana Tech that they will be welcoming the Bethel Pilots coming up on Tuesday night. Time still left to be determined. But we will have that for you right here on the Indiana Tech YouTube channel. Meanwhile, Lawrence Tech, they do win the WHAC in convincing fashion and are now well on the way to trying to make a deep run. They get home court advantage and that bye. Cornerstone also getting that bye in the meantime as well. So the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference certainly going to the Wolverines in 2025. Here come the Cougars the other way. Cameron Daniels to bring it over into the net. And the Warriors answer immediately here in set number 2 and have a 1-0 lead. Joe Northern, Esau Haynes, pleasure to be with you here tonight and also throughout the season here at the Schaefer Center, in a season that Jordan Rosenberg has a lot of key players that are willing to make things happen. Just the other key is that there's a lot of senior leaders that they've had to come across this season. And another player goes down. Oh my goodness, that's Christian Cold. Christian Cole took a nasty fall as he slipped and fell across the board as we will step aside. 1-0 advantage to Tech. Back in a moment.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there's so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something.
It has not been a fortunate night in terms of injuries for Indiana Tech. Logan Gieske went down at one point, and now 2K Christian Cold going down for just a moment as our officiating crew is continuing to evaluate to see is that point going to stay on the board for St. Xavier or not. As a reminder, coming up here tomorrow on the Indiana Tech YouTube channel, it's Tech and Madonna in two different sports. A doubleheader in baseball gets things going to start the day at 1 p.m. Jeff Mahoney will have that call for you. An important doubleheader for Indiana Tech to try to potentially clinch or get close to that top spot in the WHAC. And then at 7 o'clock, the men's lacrosse team will take on Madonna. Again, trying to further cement their status as a powerhouse before tournament play begins on April 22nd at Warrior Athletic Field. And it's nearly all but certain the Warriors will be hosting on the lacrosse side of things. So we will wait and see what those final determinations will be. As you currently see on the court, Jordan Rosenberg trying to plead his case against the kill and at least a little bit of that collision with St. Xavier, but he's not looking like he's going to get the point on that one. So we'll wait to see if there's any change in determination. There won't be, so the point will go to St. Xavier. But also, too, the bigger loss tonight. Logan Gieske going down for the interim, and now Christian Cold going down for just a second. Both teams kind of slipping on the foot a little bit. As that goes into the net, and Indiana Tech still with the lead, 2-1. But Jacob Carrico coming in. Austin Runyard also in for Indiana Tech, replacing in the rotation. Jensen Urish also in as well. Here's the quick tip that is kept in by Carrico. Who's got it? It's Runyard. Runyard up across. They get this one now to Daniels. Daniels tipped up and in. Kupalikas again up front, trying to shut down any form of momentum that the Warriors are trying to build here in set number 2. As they are even at 2 apiece. Still kept alive by Carrico. Quad hit, that's not going to matter. And St. Xavier again back up top, 3-2. Here on a Friday night, final regular season game here at Warrior Athletic, at the Schaefer Center, we should say, not Warrior Athletic Field. We will be at Warrior Athletic Field tomorrow night for lacrosse for their final regular season game. But tonight, the final regular season game of the season here at the Schaefer Center. And a side out going to go against Drew Ellers. And still a 1-point game here in the second set. But in case you're just joining us, St. Xavier had as much as a 10-point lead in set number 1. Tech had a little bit of a rally late in the first, but it was too little too late. But right now, Tech running without Logan Gieske and Christian Cold. Both taking some nasty falls in the match thus far. Gieske currently hanging out on the bench at the moment, resting his right foot. Christian Cold, we don't see anything from him at the moment. So the point goes on the board for St. Xavier. We can only hope that both players will be okay. Meanwhile, for St. Xavier, they've really been trying to ride all the momentum in what has been an undefeated season for them thus far, not only in the CCAC, but overall. 9 points behind the Masters in the latest national polls. And the point goes to Tech. As it looks like maybe a hand went on for St. Xavier. But Jensen Urish now to bring it across. Try to even it up at 5. Again, these teams went the distance back in January. And an ace for Urish! Jensen Urish getting it across it in time and makes it 5 a pop. And again, the Warriors playing with a little bit of different energy here in set number 2. And an opportunity to even it up. This one into the net, but not in the position they would have hoped. And again, these two teams met back on January 24th, where St. Xavier got the best of the Warriors in 5. But really a 5-set match that really was kind of interesting, as each team kind of really ping-ponged between each other. St. Xavier won 1, then Indiana Tech won 1 in late points. St. Xavier won in another set, then Indiana Tech won, and then St. Xavier. But really the only close set between those two were in the second set, interestingly enough. Owen gets this across. They set this out to Velez. Velez blocked up, saved by Cox. Cox now again, tips this one high. Goes back to Roseno on the reset. They go up to Poor, down low, got it! Dylan Poor up front, getting his Warriors back in it, and it's 7-6, an advantage of IT. The Warriors trying to snap a 4-game losing skid. And to do that against the number 4 team in the country would certainly be worthwhile. Out again off the foot. And the Warriors now with their largest lead tonight. 8-6 here in the second. Elliott again to bring it across. Brought down, blocked up in the meantime from St. Xavier and Cameron Daniels. So that shuts down the rally for the moment. 8-7 here in the second set. It's the sun continuing to set to our west here on the edge of downtown in Fort Wayne. Quick tip on the way. They go back to the Cougars. Easy down and in for Ehlers. And the Cougars now rattle off 2 quick immediately to make it at even 8 here in set number 2. Velez brings it across. They get this down to Poor. Off the tip, out of play. Dylan Poor found a great way to try to attack Drew Ehlers to think he had his hand on it, but deflected in and out the other way. So Indiana Tech currently riding the momentum for the most part here in set number 2. As they lead at 9-8. Mitson gets this one across. They go back to Cox and down and in time. Jensen Urish is trying to go for the chase, but couldn't get it to go. So we're even at 9 here in set number 2. Cameron Daniels brings it over. A low dig coming into Gamero. Tipped up, got it. Zach Carnes going to get credit for the kill on that one. And it makes it now 10-9. Warriors still with the advantage here in the second. Can they continue to ride the advantage? Here's Dylan Poor to bring it over. Dug down to Velez. Velez Gets this one across. Dunk again by Poor. They go up to Urish. High tip. Dunk by Daniels. Swing's going to go across. They go to Cox. Cox down low. Tipped up by Runyard. Saved by Gamero. Now they go down and in. Zach Carnes shuts it down. Zach Carnes shutting it down up front. And St. Xavier wants to stop and think it over. 11-9 Warriors right back on track. Back in a moment.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there's so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something fun to do. You can never be bored here in Fort Wayne.
The school spirit at Indiana Tech is epic. It's everything. We had our first annual hockey game not too long ago. Everybody showed up, face paint, cowbells, Trojan hats, lawn gnomes. It was amazing. It makes it so worthwhile to be a Warrior. Go Warriors.
$11-9 Tech riding on a quick 2-0 quick scoring streak. Thanks to 2 kills up front from Zach Carnes in the meantime. And trying to slide it on the block. Can he continue here in the second as the Warriors lead by 2, 11-9? And inside is Dylan Poor. Dylan Poor getting to the lower edge of the bottom right. And now Tech on a 3-0 run. Can Poor continue? This one's high, goes down to Velez. Velez hits this one cross, down and in. As Matt Padella stops the run for the moment, making it 12-10. Warriors still with the advantage here in the second. Don't forget the WHAC tournament is coming up next week. Indiana Tech will be hosting a home game. Lourdes also hosting a home game. For more information, go to WHAC.com. Or WHAC.net, we should say. WHAC.com will not get you to where you need to go, but WHAC.net will in the meantime. Side out of play against Tech. Goes up to Urish. Now they go back to Runyard. Little loose hander going back to Padella. Blocked up from Kuplinkas. Kuplinkas down and in, answers right back. And the lead is now vanished once more for IT, and we're even at 12. So we're just about midway through set number 2. Tech trailing the Cougars of St. Xavier. 1-0. And another quick down and in for St. Xavier in the meantime. It's making now 13-12 here in the second. Warriors drop set 1, 19-25, in case you're just joining us. But it's been St. Xavier riding the momentum as that goes into the net against Cox. And we're even again at 13. So again, this has reminiscences of maybe what the first match between these two teams had back on January 24th, where they each traded sets 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. St. Xavier came away with that 3-2. Cougars want to try to shut that down as quick as they can. The Warriors would love nothing more than a signature win. That's blocked down and in from Drew Ehlers. So Ehlers getting credit for the attack, makes it now 14-13. Ehlers, quiet night for him thus far. with only 1 kill. That's his first you just saw right there. But another quick into the net against St. Xavier in the meantime. Let's make it 14-14. Ben Rosno now to bring it across. Rosno again the other way. Run, jump, serve. Gets this one down, saved in the meantime. Scooped up by Kuplinkas. Now they go back to Yurish. Yurish down low, got it! Jitson Yurish along the way. And the Warriors back on top, 15-14. Can they ride the rally from Ben Rosno? Gets this one across. They go down to Daniels. Down low, got it. It was Camden Stecker who had the hand on it to make it even back at 15. And we are even at 15 here in set number 2. So again, the momentum currently not in the building for either team, as it's really been a 1-1-1-1 affair. One team gets one, another team gets one. And side out goes against the Cougars to make it now 16-15. Jensen Yurish now to bring it out the other way. Yurish. High dig goes down to Velez. Velez gets out to Kuplinkas. Kuplinkas continues to maintain the control as Yurish had it roll on the top of the nets, but just flowed out of play. Kuplinkas again to bring it over. Down low, back to Carrico. They got to go to Poor, and they do. Out of play and off the hands of Camden Steckler. It's 17-16 IT. And an opportunity to potentially steal one and give St. Xavier their first set loss since March 22nd, mind you. To try to even it up at 1. Here's Owen Elliott. Side out of play. So we're at 17 all here in set number 2. Again, very much shades of what we saw in a matchup that opened the season for IT, where St. Xavier dominated the first, but Tech found their way in set number 2 to eventually take it, as both teams really like to go back to back to back. Mitson continuing to be a force in that to make it now 18-17 here in the second. And Mitson again now with an opportunity to bring it over. Quick push on the way, out of play. So again, it's been trading points really since the 14-15 mark, where each team has traded one for another and one for another. Who is going to find momentum here in the second? Here's Poor. Dug in the meantime from Daniels. They go back to Daniels, up front, down, off the foot of Mitson, still alive. Blocked down and in from Caden Cox. As it rattled off the foot of Mitson. But on the board for the Cougars in the meantime to make it now 19-18 in the late stages of set number 2. Here's Daniels again. Dug by Yurish. They get this across to Rosno. Blocked up and out of play. So still no momentum lost, no momentum found. So we're even at 19 here in the second. Dylan Poor with an opportunity to bring it across. But every point ever becoming more important. Poor blocks this up over the top of the deck. He gets it off the hand of Sean Carey. And now Tech back on top, 20-19. Can they get another one to go up by 2? Off the hands of number 2, we should say. Blocked up, down again by Poor. Poor, they go to Urish. Urish down in the back row. Again, finding Daniels, tipped down, got it. Is it into the net? It is! Matt Pinella running right into the net. And Indiana Tech back up by 2 here in the second. Timeout, St. Xavier. The Warriors riding the momentum here in set number 2, trying to even the match at 1. Back in a moment.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there are so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something fun to do. You can never be bored here in Fort Wayne.
The school spirit at Indiana Tech is epic. It's everything. We had our first annual hockey game not too long ago. Everybody showed up, face paint, cowbells, Trojan hats, lawn gnomes. It was amazing. It makes it so worthwhile to be a Warrior. Go Warriors.
Tech with an opportunity to try to shut down the number 1 team in the country. Or number 2 team in the country, we should say. It's set number 2 to even the match at 1. They lead it 21-19. Dug by Velez. They go down to Cox. That's saved by Carrico. They go up to the front row. And back the other way. Here's Pinella. Saved by Velez. It's still live. Pinella down and in. And a great dig coming in from Andres Velez. Coming in from Toa Bojo, Puerto Rico. To cut the lead to 1. There were some fans standing up thinking that it went down in the meantime, but Velez on the big save. That goes into the net for Cox. So no love lost, no love found. But a lot of love if you're Tech with a 2-point lead here in the second. Carrico now with an opportunity to bring it across. Can he do it again here in the second? A little low serve. That is still kept live over the line. Tipped up, down into the net. Rosno has to get it across, and he does. They go back to Pinella. Gets it in. That one goes for the leading attacker, and Matt Pinella, the Long Beach opposite hitter. It is senior season for Tom Ryan's Cougars. Brought across by Ehlers. They go back to Urish. Quick dig on the other way. They go back to Pinella. Blocked up. Out of play. It is out of play off the hands. Waiting to get the official credit. It looked like Runyard and Urish were both in the middle of it. But into the net that goes in the meantime for Ehlers. 23-22. Tech just needs to rattle off 2 to make it even at 1. St. Xavier, they've got a little more work to do. They can rattle off 3, it's over. But it could take 4, if not more. Ben Rosno now gets this across. Dug by Velez. Tipped up, brought low, got it. Kupaslinkas gets it across. And we are even at 23. Here in set number 2. Tech still with both timeouts left. Jordan Rosenberg hasn't called one yet. Carrico hits this across. Missed from Gamero. He was trying to run for the jump, but Gamero had a little bit of cold feet in the meantime, and now Jordan Rosenberg wants to stop and think it over. So Gamero again was running to try to get it up in time, but had a little bit of cold feet at the end of it, which ended up being a costly point against the Warriors. It's making it 24-23 as we head into set number 2. Again, WAC tournament all but set at this point. Indiana Tech will be welcoming Bethel University coming up in just a couple of days. That'll be on tax day, April 15th. So if you haven't paid your taxes by April 15th, or if you have, come on out and watch your Warriors against the Pilots of Bethel. But that would potentially set up them taking on Lawrence Tech, where they've dropped 2 straight back on April Fool's Day, 0-3. But getting the one-set loss against Lawrence Tech, 1-3. Still a lot of work left to do. Here's the push across again from Ellers. Down low to Gamero. Gamero trying to answer back. They get this up into the net, and it is! And we will be going into extra sets as Daniel Mitzing going to get credit for the kill. That's the freshman center trying to make some noise. Jason Urish now on the other side, 24 pop. Here's a quick push on the way from Kupslikas. That's down low, double hit against Tech. And Tech will take another timeout. We'll step aside. 25-24, set point number 2 upcoming for St. Xavier when you come back.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there are so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something fun to do. You can never be bored here in Fort Wayne.
The school spirit at Indiana Tech is epic. It's everything. We had our first annual hockey game not too long ago. Everybody showed up, face paint, cowbells, Trojan hats, lawn gnomes. It was amazing. It makes it so worthwhile to be a Warrior. Go Warriors.
Bayhouse Kupalinkas again to bring it over. The redshirt senior. It's set point number 2, but out of play. This is feeling awfully similar to what we saw a couple months ago between these two teams, but can the Warriors find a way to get it done and in time? Elliott brought this down to Cox, down low and got it. As it skirts across in the meantime, and now we go to set point number 3 for St. Xavier. Andres Velez to bring it over. He gets this one across. Down low, got it to Poor, and we play on. Again, just feels like a spitting image of what we see between these two teams. At least the last couple of matches they've had against each other. Tech has been the only team that has swept St. Xavier. But St. Xavier has not swept Tech. That's tipped up out of play against Poor. Set point number 4 upcoming for the Cougars. Cameron Daniels now to bring it over. 27-26. Daniels gets this one across, dug by Camara. They go up front, blocked up by Carnes. A push into the net against IT. As set number 2 goes to the Cougars. So just like that, St. Xavier now up 2-0 against Indiana Tech, trying to finish off the sweep when you come back. This is Tech Volleyball.
Want to know the difference between dreaming and doing? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior. Want to know what it means to be a warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a warrior's shoes.
Welcome to the Summit City, home to the 260's dedicated high school athletes and fans. Each victory and celebration captured by our cameras. Treasure the highlights from the Summit Athletic Conference this season, or complete games live or on demand. After all, nobody's more proud to call Fort Wayne home than SummitCitySports.com.
From the first day, I felt very welcome at Indiana Tech.
I just really enjoy the classes and the vibe I get from all the other athletes and just the students here. Everybody's cool and everybody gets along really well.
I'm currently a senior, and since my freshman year, student life activities have really grown throughout campus, and there are so many ways that you can meet new people. You can go bowling, you can watch movies, and it's just really important to get involved on campus.
We have intramurals, anything from billiards to basketball. It's made student life very enjoyable.
I love Fort Wayne because there's always something going on, like festivals. I walk a bunch of the trails here locally. There's great restaurants. There's always something fun to do. You can never be bored here in Fort Wayne.
The school spirit at Indiana Tech is epic. It's everything. We had our first annual hockey game not too long ago. Everybody showed up, face paint, cowbells, Trojan hats, lawn gnomes. It was amazing. It makes it so worthwhile to be a warrior. Go Warriors.
You want to know what's possible at Indiana Tech? Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a warrior.
The Foo Fighters had an album called There's Nothing Left to Lose, and for Indiana Tech, there's one set left to lose, but they certainly don't want to do that here tonight. As we go into set number 3, St. Xavier winning it early on, 25-19, 28-26. Drew Northern, Esau Haynes, delighted to have you with us. Again, Indiana Tech coming in 10-13 on a 4-game losing skid, trying to avoid going 5, but to do that, they will need to rattle off 3 consecutive sets, which is not unheard of for this Warrior team. We've seen it happen before. Currently leading for the Warriors, Zach Carnes, 8 kills. Dylan Poor with 5. Christian Cold with 3 on the board as it stands at the moment. But one thing to note, Christian Cold and Logan Gieske going down a little bit early on to some foot injuries early on in this matchup, so we haven't seen both back in action. Christian Cold still working with our PSM trainers as it stands right now. Gieske currently on crutches at the moment. Mitson hits this one into the net, and Xavier gets the early points. Tonight's broadcast is a presentation of Indiana Tech Athletics in conjunction with Summit City Sports. Indiana authorized re-exhibition, redistribution, and reproduction of tonight's match without the express written consent of Indiana Tech Athletics is strictly prohibited. Rudnier tries to get this one across, but tipped it out of play. And we're even at 1 here in the first. Joe Northern, Esau Haynes with you. Again, in a matchup that early on in the season was a big highlight for this Warrior team despite the loss, as they went back and forth in 5 sets, with the Cougars getting the best of the Warriors. But with the exception of the second, nearly all in convincing fashion. Could that be a differ here in the third? The swing goes wide. Tech getting back up on this one, 2-1. But again, St. Xavier already champions of the Chicago Collegiate Athletic Conference, as they clinched that on Tuesday night. It's still presently number 2 in the country. Poor gets this one across. This one swung wide and out of play. It's Drew Ellers gets it off the palm of Dylan Poor. And now the Cougars even it up at 2, trying to finish off the Warriors. And the first ever sweep potentially the Cougars would ever have against Indiana Tech. Here's the push for Poor, down and in. That's his 9th tonight to make it now 3-2, Tech with the advantage. And again, it's been a Tech matchup where they've had the advantage in some sets, but once they've had the advantage, have found a way to let that go. We saw that on senior night against Aquinas, and it's really been a different situation since then from what we've seen from the Warriors thus far. As Kupalinkas hits this one to get a side out against IT, 3-3. Ellers with the side out of his own to make it 4-3. So again, the Warriors trying to starve off a 4-game losing streak. They're currently staring the barrel of a 5th right now, but want to avoid that as much as they can. With Ben Rosno now to bring it across. There's Rosno. Run, jump, serve. Gets this one across and down. Hits this one over to Cox. Got it. Caden Cox with a light push to the net. Still gets it down and in to make it now 4-4. Cox makes that his 11th of the night thus far by our count. Actually, his 9th, we should say. Kupsalinksas with 11th and Panella with 14. That's brought out by Urish. They go out the other way. Sets this high to find Carey. I beg your pardon, Kierzak. Kierzak hits that out and out of play. So the Warriors again, not saying we're done just yet. And again, the one thing to keep in mind, no Logan Gieske, no Christian Cold right now, both taking some nasty falls early on in this one, as Urish hits this one into the net. So we haven't seen them for a majority of the match as it stands thus far. As 2K heads into the locker room for just a moment, while Logan Gieske is still staying up top. Side out going to go against Urish on the board for St. Francis, and 6-5 here in the third. But don't forget, tomorrow here on the Indiana Tech YouTube channel, more action for you as it's Madonna coming to town to take on your Warriors in baseball. Important matchups for the Warriors as the swing goes wide, make it even at 6. For the baseball team to try to get back to the top of the table in the WHAC after splitting with the Racers of UNOH earlier today. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. Jeff Mahoney will have that for you. And then tomorrow night at 7 p.m., right across the parking lot from us here at the Schaefer Center at Warrior Athletic Field, it'll be lacrosse as Madonna comes to town to take on the Warriors. Swing is wide and in! It skates across the top of the net, but they will give the ace to Owen Elliott to make it now 7-6 advantage of the Warriors. Elliott again up top. They get this one pushed across, down, up, still live. They go to Rosno. Tipped up by Poor, down, got it! Dylan Poor currently leading the way for the Warriors tonight. Secondly leading the Warriors, you should say. He's got 10 kills tonight, but 3 errors, hitting for .389, also 3 aces for the junior outside hitter. Off the hand, St. Xavier stops the run for just a moment, make it 8-7. Andres Velez now to bring it over. Meanwhile, for St. Xavier, again, no surprise on who's leading. Matt Padella with 14. Vejas Kupalinksas with 11. Caden Cox with 10 for the Cougars out of Chicago, Illinois, of St. Francis. Here's Poor off the hand of Cameron Daniels. It's making it now 9-7 as Daniel Mitson now going to be the man to try to extend the lead. Again, the Warriors had no more than a 2-point lead this entire match. Can they try to go further here? That is blocked up, and they do! Carnes and Poor up the middle. And the Warriors now with a 3-point advantage here in the third, 10-7. Timeout, St. Xavier. So Indiana Tech trying to extend the match. They lead by 3. Back in a moment.
Want to know what it means to be a Warrior? Yeah, pretty much everything. Visit Indiana Tech and walk a mile in a Warrior's shoes.
Good luck, Tammy.
See you, David.
Things happen. How do you make the unexpected happen? Take the next step with an online degree from Indiana Tech. Start with a visit to one of our 2 new Chicago area enrollment centers in Naperville or Wilmette. You'll discover a wide range of affordable undergraduate and graduate degrees with flexible class schedules designed to fit your lifestyle and help you earn a degree sooner than you'd expect. Embrace the unexpected at Indiana Tech.
You want to know what's possible at Indiana Tech? Visit Indiana Tech and see what it's like to be a Warrior.
Indiana Tech with the advantage here in the third set as Poor gets the dig on this one. Gets this across, down and in the meantime from Cameron Daniels to stop a 3-0 Tech run to make it now 10-8. Tech still with the advantage, but still they've got plenty of work to do as they trail 2 games to none. Here's the push the other way from Daniels. They go back to Runyard. Got it! Austin Runyard with the quick swing and attack to make it now 11-8 and the kill on the board for the senior. So the Warriors again continuing to run and dominate. Push now from Wheatley, down low, got it. Quick jump coming in from Matt Pinella, his 15th of the night, to trim the lead back to 2 and 11-9. The Warriors trying to starve off a sweep. Cox, dug by Carrico, blocked up front from Runyard, sets inside for Pinella. They go up front to Cox, that is down and in, as Mitson could not get it in time. It's making now 11-8, 11-10. St. Xavier now rattling off 2 in a row here in the third. Can they starve off the serves from Caden Cox, the Jamestown, North Dakota native? They go up to Mitson. It's down to Urish, but out of play. So Urish at the side out. We are even at 11. And the attack error on the board for the Warriors. It's their 9th of the night tonight. St. Xavier with 8, however. Cox again to bring it across. Get this one up. Down to Urish. Got it. He gets it off the hand of Velez to starve off the lead against the Cougars. One of the more interesting things we've noticed, too, is that St. Xavier, 18 service errors tonight. Tech only with 6. We know that Tech and service errors have really been something that they've been trying to work on this season, but tonight have vastly improved on that and really have over the past couple of games. That's down low and in from Vejas Kupalinxis to make it even at 12 again. But again, credit to the Warriors for continuing to ride the momentum here in this third set. So they're trying to avoid losing 5 in a row. Here's the push from Amawan. Now out to Mitson. Mitson outside, not a play for Runyard. Well, wait, it was touched up top by a St. Xavier attacker. And a little bit of confusion on who might have had their hand on it. It may have been Cox. It may have been number 1, Aaron Amawan. But nonetheless, it's attack points and an opportunity to extend it. (13-12), Tech in the advantage. Quick tip down, but got it. Kupalinxis gets it down and in to make it 13 a pop here in the third. St. Xavier 12 away from the sweep. Indiana Tech 12 away from extending the match. Push on the way from Pinella. That is into the net. It's still live for IT. Urish now. Dug low. They go back up to Kupalinxis. And Urish could not match the swing in time to make it even at 14. So again, Tech with one of the tougher schedules really in the NAIA this season. Currently at the ropes against St. Xavier. They lead by 1. As no hand was up. And a point on the board for the Warriors, 15-14. With Owen Elliott now bringing it out the other way. Again, the Warriors welcome the Bethel Pilots coming up here on Tuesday night. That has officially been announced for Tuesday night and a 7 p.m. start time. So we'll have that for you right here on the Indiana Tech YouTube channel. That's tipped down from Rosno, still kept live by Poor. So they get this out to Velez and down and in. It was off the palm of Pinella. And Andres Velez now bringing it in. to make it 15-15 here in the third. St. Xavier trying to pull away and head back to Chicago. Here's Poor off the tip of Cameron Daniels. So still live and in play for IT. They lead by 1. Daniel Mitson now to bring it over. Mitson across, a wide swing and a dig. They go back to the palm of Hellers. Now a reset up coming. They go to Poor. Saved by Velez. Now over to Runyard. Runyard again. They find Poor. Poor blocked up by Cameron Daniels. And the Cougars made something out of nothing late in the back row to even the match at 16th, and a point that was nearly giveth, but instead brought back where they needed it to be. Daniels, a low skirt across the board. They go back to Poor, blocked again this time from Ellers. So they get now 17-16 advantage of St. Xavier, and only their second lead here in set number 3. Push up front by Carnes. Dug by Velez. They go back to Cox. Off the tip. Dug by Carrico. Again, back up front over to Rosno. Blocked up by Ellers. Battle up front. Again to Carnes. Off the tip and on the board. It was Dylan Poor off the attack and in. To make it 17 a pop. And who else but Dylan Poor now to bring it across. Into the net it goes. To make it 18-17. Tech with 2 timeouts. St. Xavier with the 1. St. Xavier leading the match 28-26, 25-19 in case you're just joining us. Tech still with some work left to do. St. Xavier trying to shut them down. Here's Cox, way high and out of play. A big swing right into the board, or the pads we should say, of Indiana Tech to our right. With Jacob Carrico now to bring it the other way. Here's Carrico. Run, jump, serve. Little low serve on the way. They go back to Kupslingas and gets it in. Kupslingas at the upper right corner to make it now 19-18 advantage of the Cougars of St. Xavier. Aaron Amo on now to bring it over, the sophomore setter from Hanover Park, Illinois. St. Xavier trying to get more than a 1-point lead. We haven't seen that often here in this third. And it won't happen here either. 19-19 here in the third. So the Warriors still plenty of work left to do. But if they can steal one set and shift that momentum, who knows what could happen. And a man to really shift that momentum is who else but Ben Rosno. Leading the team in aces with 26 in the season thus far. Rosno, dug by Kupslingas. They go up top to Kupslingas. Tipped up, down, got it. Little bit of a mid-collision with Amir Taylor, a St. Louis native. And St. Xavier back on top, 20-19. Or Bo O'Leary, not Amir Taylor, I beg your pardon. They go up to Urish. Nearly a net call, they still say play on. Here's Kupslingas, blocked up, still live. They go back up front and a reset upcoming. As Taylor doesn't get the call. They were looking for an end to the net run. They're not gonna get it. They were looking for a push into the net against St. Xavier, and it does go to St. Xavier against St. Xavier. They were looking for the push, and they got the push. And we're even at 20 here in the third. So just like that, the Warriors have evened it up at 20. We thought we'd see a push coming in from number 15 and Daniels, and that's exactly what happened. Urish gets the cross, blocked up, still live. They go down and in from Kupslingas. Ron Young Jr., or I beg your pardon, number 13, Shane Hemphill, the Michigan City native, had a big push up front, but couldn't get it to go. It's St. Xavier back up by 1. Kupslinkas. Get this out the pour. Down again to Velez. Velez. They go to Cox. Blocked up. Got it. Bo O'Leary. Bo O'Leary on the block to make it 21-all here in the third. Has the Schaefer Center alive and well. Needed a little momentum here in this third set. A low tip on the way from Pinella. It's one way to shut it down for just a moment. And Velez again to bring it over. 22-21, the Cougars leading over the Warriors. Can they find a way to shut it down, or can the Warriors find a way to come back? Velez, low serve down to Urish, tipped up, down and in! Daniel Mitson! Right place, right time. He's going to have to bring it across on his own. Here's Mitson on the jump. They get this down to Cox and he scores. Caden Cox again up front, shutting it down, and the momentum from IT. So if the Warriors want to get a W, they need to rattle off 3 in a row. St. Xavier just needs 2. Here's Daniels, dug by Camara. They go to Mitson. Mitson down to Rosno, off the tip and out. Even at 23. Rosno's coming out, and Austin Runyard coming in. We'll also see number 33, Max Venema, a man who has really found a way to extend the match for the Warriors, especially as of lately. Into the rotation for Jordan Rosenberg and company. And the side out and match points for St. Xavier as Dylan Poor shifted it a little bit to the right. And match point coming in for Jaden Cox. Timeout for your Warriors. And both teams 1 timeout left. Tech is going to have to try to find a way to get this into extras if they can to extend this to set number 4. But St. Xavier 1 point away from going 26-0 and finishing their regular season unblemished and undefeated. We know they're already undefeated in league play, but can they finish the regular season unblemished? They would join the Masters in doing just that. Again, as a reminder, the WAC tournament opens at Lord's, but it also opens right here at the Schaefer Center coming up on Tuesday night as the Warriors welcome the Bethel Pilots to town. As it stands right now, the Bethel Pilots, it could be Siena Heights. We'll have to wait and see how those two teams end up matching in really, if Siena Heights can get the W, we'll see what the tiebreaker comes down to. But regardless, Indiana Tech will be welcoming one of those teams on Tuesday night. Right now, we just don't know who. 24-23, St. Xavier with the match point. Cox has had the strong arm tonight. Goes to the light approach here. Gets this up to Urish. Blocked up. Is it out? It is! And we play on. Matt Padella swung it to his right. And we are even at 24 with Jacob Carrico now to serve and bring it over. It just takes two, one way or another. Carrico across. They go back up. Off the hands of Carrico, still live. Tipped up by Rosno. Brought back, tipped, and out of play. It was off the hand of Rosno thanks to the swing from Matt Padella. And match point number 2 upcoming for St. Xavier. Reminder, in case you were just joining us or you watched set number 2, St. Xavier had to go to 4 different set points to finish it off, as this Tech team has awfully been pesky of extending the match. Anawan to bring it over. Dug by Poor. They go to Urish up front. That's set up for Cox. Tipped up by Koopas Linksys. Now down to Urish, up into the tweeter, and we're still alive. Jensen Urish runs it against Padilla. And we're even at 25 and going to extra points here in the third. So can the Warriors find a way to extend it? They have a guy who can make it happen, and Ben Rosno now serving. It's Rosno running right to left. Run, jump, serve. Dug by Velez. They go back and down and in from Padilla. And now match point number 3 upcoming for St. Xavier. And the leading attacker to try to shut it down. Tech wants anything but that. Padilla gets this out to Carrico. Brought up, into the net, got it over! Bo O'Leary again! The junior middle blocker from Worthington, Ohio, continuing to extend the match. And we're even at 26. Jensen Urish again to bring it across. They get this one over. Finds Kupslinkis, and he finds the open gap at right down the middle. Coops links us. Again, the red shirt outside header, continuing to extend the match. And now an opportunity to shut it down. Match point number 4 upcoming. Down low to Carrico. They go up to Poor. Go with the light tip. Back to Cox. Down low to Urish. They got to go up front to O'Leary. Off the head! Oh my goodness! Kupslinksis thought he had it to go, but he did it! And even at 27! A costly mistake for St. Xavier. Owen Elliott now to bring it over. Elliott across. This one's way high. They go to Cox. They got to bring it over. Now a chance up front. Poor. Again to Padilla. Down and in. Right at the back of the box. And now it's match point number 5 for St. Xavier. What an entertaining third set. But can the Warriors find a way to play spoiler? Velez to bring it over. Down to Urish. Tipped down. Got it to go. They go up front. Dug by Rosno. Rosno again. Out to Pour. Off the chest. Still alive. And they go with a sneak from Mitson. Oh, my. Daniel Mitson continuing to extend the match and denying St. Xavier. Here's Cox off the foot and out. It is out. And set point Warriors. Timeout, St. Xavier. Well, just when you think the Warriors are down, they are not out. 29-28 here in this third and hopefully entertaining set here at the Schaefer Center. Against St. Xavier, they haven't lost a set since March 22nd by our counts. It has been since March 22nd against number 10 Cornerstone at Cornerstone that they dropped a set in non-con play in really any match whatsoever. In fact, only dropping 4 sets all season, or 6 sets all season. 2 of those against Indiana Tech. But can the Warriors find a way to extend to a 4th? Because if that happens, the momentum shifts another way. And can Daniel Mitson make it happen here? He runs right to left, gets this down. They get it dug by Mitson. Now they got to settle up front. Blocked up, got it. So another block up front from Cameron Daniels to make it even at 29. Here in set number 3. St. Xavier had 5 match points, but failed to close it out in any of them. Here's Daniels again. Dug by Carrico. Over to Mitson. Hit up by Rosno. Over to Velez. It's still alive. They go to Cox with a light tip. Throwing it off. They got to go back up front. Off the hand! Dylan Parr striking back. And now set point number 2 upcoming for IT. They have to know, too, that this doesn't clinch anything. This gets you up, down 2-1, but still work left to do. And knowing that you're wearing down St. Xavier can do just that. Blocked down and inside for the Cougars. As it was off the hands of Mitson, it looked like from our vantage point. Jason Urish coming back in, Austin Runyard coming back in as well. Rosno and Venema going back to the bench with Caden Cox to bring it over, even at 30. As no one has found a way to give up this set one way or another. Runyard across, dug by Velez. They go back up to Kupslingas in the back row and got it. And now match point number 6 upcoming for the Cougars at a timeout by Indiana Tech. Well, quite certainly this has to be one of the longest sets we've seen all season. And even if that being a third set, because if the Warriors win, they still have 2 more to try to come back and get a W on. But if they can do that against the number 2 team in the country, they can find a way to get back in action. Don't forget, tomorrow here on the Indiana Tech YouTube channel is I am trying to keep a voice. You won't hear me tomorrow, but you will hear Jeff Mahoney at 1 p.m. as the Warriors of the Baseball Diamond take on Madonna to try to get back to the top of the table in the WHAC. Doubleheader begins at 1 p.m. And then on the lacrosse side, The Warriors also welcome Madonna on men's lacrosse, 7 p.m. The Wizard of Haas, Eric Hosmer, will have the call for you on that one tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So can the Warriors battle back yet again? They're down to their 6th match point. St. Xavier, match point number 6 upcoming from Cox. As they get the clock officially reset, both teams out of timeouts. And here we go. Here's Cox. Into the net! They found a way to ice Caden Cox once again. 31 apiece here in set number 3. These are scenes that, quite simply, you can't make up. Here's the push, blocked up, dunked by Velez. They tip it up the other way, down low, and got it again for Matt Panella. And make it 32-31. Aaron Almowan now to bring it over. Almowan, run, jump, serve. Gets this across inside. It is! A bizarre way to finish set number 3 on an ace from Aaron Almowan at literally the margin of inches. But nonetheless, that's how this one comes to an end. So Tech finishes the regular season at 10-14. St. Xavier finishes the season unblemished and undefeated at 26-0. As a reminder, we'll be back with you Tuesday night as the Warriors welcome either Bethel or Siena Heights right here at the Schaefer Center for the opening round of the WAC tournament. It's been a pleasure to be with you all season long, as we'll be with you on Tuesday night for the opening round of the WAC tournament. Former tag team partner Esau Hayes, Joe Northern saying so long from the Schaefer Center. Warriors fall in 3, but an awfully close 3. 25-19, 28-26, and 33. Yes, 33-31. So long.
Hi, I'm Paxton, and I'll be your tour guide today. Behind me, we have Pearson Hall. This is one of our freshman dorms on campus. Today, I'll be showing you dorm rooms. Come inside. The only way to get into campus is if you have an ID card, so you'll have to swipe into all the dorms. And then over here, we have an intercom system. So through every dorm, we have these dial buttons within the dorm rooms and then outside. So say you're visiting somebody, you don't live here, you would dial their room number, and then you can actually call their room, and they can unlock the doors to the dorm through the intercom system. And you can talk to them, they can see you through a camera, and they can unlock the doors for you so they don't have to leave the room. It's really nice to have. So right here we just have our main lobby. Every floor has a lobby. In the lobbies we just have TVs and stuff. You can watch movies, play video games. You can hang out with friends, do homework, play card games. It's just a nice little hangout area to have. And then right here, this is what we call our RA office. So every single night there will be an RA in the office. They're just there for your needs if you have any issues with toilets or sinks or anything being clogged. They'll always be in there for your help. If you have questions about anything, you can always come see an RA here. And then over here, we have mailboxes. Every student has a mailbox. They are really small. The only thing they can fit is card-sized items. Throughout campus, you'll see our mail room when you go on your actual tour later on, and that will be in one of our other buildings where you'll receive bigger packages. All right, so here's the laundry room. So in the laundry room, you don't have to save quarters